Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Taupō District Council meeting. And our overseas audience and the national audience via live stream unable to join us today. Technicality challenge, but we're working on that, try and fix it. So maybe it won't be hearing me, okay, but notified. Yeah. So, I ask you to give us the here for this afternoon, please. Thank you very much.
Parai te tukunai te karakia ki te wahingaro e aia nei me tukunai ngā mihi kia rātou ko te Turangi tia. Tuakera te awa kumihi ki te tihi tapua te mehani me te tukunai ngā poroporo aki kia rātou ko te Turangi tia. Kia rātou ko kapohia e te ringa kahawa heu te mā tā mua whakaro i me te mihi nei ki tō tātou tō tara haimata, tā hauara o tira e tangata ka hei, kaha poi poi nei i a tātou katoa. Anō ka haururu ana te whenua e haere o ki atu. E tātai whetsu ki te rangi mautonu, e tātai tangata ki te whenua, a tia e te mau o te ora whakau i ka mai rangu te stua nui o tēnei whare. Ka tika me timata ngā huatanga i te karakia, no reira kei nui. Arangi nui rangi roa, rangi tā hua hua tūte ihi tūte wana wana karongo te pō karongo. Ei ai o whakaru i te ti oro whakarara o te manutaki a tā. O hopu te wetoara taki ko tamanui te rā ko māui tua ko māui rata ko māui taha ko māui pai ko māui tiki tiki a taranga. Tēnā te pō nau mai te a. Uhi wero ka tau te mauri. Haumi e, hui e. Kia ora tata.
Kia ora. Kia ora. That's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Mana nui passed away. Sadly last night. So welcome everyone, welcome members of the public, staff, members of the press, councillors, and everyone here this afternoon. Lovely to see you all. A few little changes for this afternoon's program. We welcome Councillor Lachlan and Councillor Taylor, Deputy Mayor. Can you hear us okay?
A little bit jumbled, but I can make out what you're saying. It's a couple sounding better now.
Yep, same with me.
Okay, so just a reminder, the councillors nice and clear, straight into the red zone. The red dot, if you don't mind. So item 6.1 is withdrawn because the public minutes have been released to the public, so they will be 5.8. Item 5.2 is submitted. Mr. Stephen Sanderson is interested in hearing the recording of the meeting. We spoke to him this morning to get that video linked to you. And item 5.5, welcome Ngāti Turangi to present the road map. Kia ora, Turangi, good to have you here. So item number 2, we'll go straight into is apologies, and well, not really, is it apologies, or just record that they'll be they're online, so we can record that. And Councillor Lachlan and we wish. Right, item 3, any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items today? No conflict, Vince. 4.1 is the ordinary council meeting. It was held on the 15th of November. Any points of any matters pertaining to those minutes, please? Those minutes Turangi against. Yeah. All good, thank you. 5.1 members portfolio update. This I know it's early in the triennium. Is anyone? Yeah, you're right. Okay. You're right.
Thank you, Jared. Yes, just through the chair, I apologise to the lovely ladies in our governance committee for not getting my reporting on time. I'll get there. As far as the Sister City Friendship City, I've had initial discussions with the Deputy CEO and the Manager of Community Engagement and Development. So that's ticking along with ethnic communities and interest. Angie from the Community Development team has been really helpful in getting names of the different citizenship ceremony, which was conducted by our Deputy Mayor, Kevin Taylor. And then in the emergency management space, I had regular updates with the DCE and the community development and engagement manager, which was Olivia O'Brien, Katie Tackle in his acting role. I also attended the Waikato Civil Defence Emergency Management Commission meeting yesterday. I'm delighted to say that I was appointed chair of that, so which is the first proposal. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Park. Any other portfolio updates at the stage? Councillor Williamson. Oh, you're not going
I also find the thinking was also time away towards the housing culture portfolio. The top of school of music end of the year concert. The TEC has a funded partnership agreement with the top of school music. Over 200 people, families, supporters attended to listen to pieces of music from learners to more advanced students at the Great Lakes Centre. Tomorrow, the Taupō Youth Day will forming senior citizens. Lodge. Recently, Taupō School Music Board in relationship partnership with the Watch Foundation for future through funds for the school's operation. And this one here is friends of museums and art gallery, as with the Taupō exhibition. This is going to be a bit of a history this, he was Taupō was a New Zealand rugby veteran artist, well-known for his writing portraits. He was a friend of Charles Goldie, who retired at the Taupō District around 1892-93. Goldie and Brian studied together in Paris. Brian, 1891, all painted champagne pools, while he was fairly later hanging in the art gallery. The narrative provided by Brian Michaels. He's a local resident, and great grandmother. And also on the Government Museum staff organised by Curious organised the pre-Crawley's exhibition. An array of local creators from local schools, professional artists, and dabblers in craft and so forth in February. So it's well worth going having a look at it. So congratulations to the staff and the museum staff at the museum as well. And also Saturday. I attended the.
Any other? Councillor Truman.
So we had the Mangakino Christmas at the lake on Saturday, which the organisers did such a great job considering the weather that we had. This Friday, we've got the Turangi's connecting the community group has a hayride for their Christmas celebrations. And also I've been attending meetings with staff and helping to design the toilet block that's going to be going down at the lakefront. So that's in action, and it's going to be really great. So thank you to the staff for progress we've made.
Isn't that hayride? What's that? Great.
Yeah, you can go. I'm finding this.
I can speak with a big voice.
Councillor
It's a gathering of 3 tractors with carryalls on the back, starting on 3 different vantage points. Around the Taupō District, everybody, the highlight of the year out there. So we even have people that travel from as far as Auckland and beyond to attend the hayride. So,
sounds exciting.
just on that note, my report's written there. I'll take it as read if anyone has any questions. I can
Thank you,
answer.
Councillor Ennis. Thank you very much. Any other councillors any reporting? Councillor Lachlan or Taylor, have you got anything to report out there?
As noted in my report, I've got nothing to report. Your worship.
And mine is as written. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Greenside.
I'd just like to commend the Amplify team and Turangi over the weekend who put together Christmas in the park under very difficult conditions. I think the whole town tuned out and it was absolutely wonderful and everybody had an amazing time. So thank you to Amplify down there.
Great, thank you. We'll note it. Thank you very much. Okay. Looks like you might have to turn off yours, Sandra.
One at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. Okay, thank you, councillors. I realise it's early in the training, but thank you for those who've supported the ones that have supplied the report as well. So can I have a move, please, as that be those reports be accepted? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bacon, seconded by Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right, 5.2, change of reserve purpose on the Whareara lakefront. Yeah, Mr. Carroll and Tom.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. Tom and I would like to take the report as read. Probably 3 key points from my perspective. The first is this report's simply about changing the reserve status. So it's not about anything to do with the actual physical infrastructure. It's simply about changing the status of the reserve to enable that infrastructure to be built. The second point is that there's a really clear message from the community through the consultation, which makes decision-making really easy, and a clear direction that the community wants to see the co-location of the new infrastructure with the old infrastructure. And it's very much about minimising the impacts on the reserve, which is highly valued to that community. The third point is that through the submissions, a couple of suggestions have come up about how the project could be carried out better. Things like the nature of the fencing, creation of mowing strips, maybe the colour that you use for painting. Those aspects are being picked up by the project team and they're working through those in detail to see what we can achieve in terms of rolling. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Sorry, just appears that only one can go, so when you finish talking, if they could, if not. Okay, questions? Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Tom. Good to see you here this afternoon. Whareara, that beautiful piece of paradise down there. Any questions of the gentleman today? All pretty straightforward. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution that the council approves the change in purpose of the portion of the reserve at the Whariraa lakefront from local purpose reserve. to
I'm happy to move.
purpose to reserve utility. Moved by councillor Lachlan. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, councillor Greenslade. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carry. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 5.3. Motuapa water extension. And Kendall. Good afternoon, Kendall.
Kia ora, everyone.
I'll turn mine off and then so you can.
Right, afternoon, everybody. This paper is in regards to the extension of our water supply network in Motuapa to the lower Motuapa area adjacent to the lake. Take the paper as read, but just give you a little quick summary because there's a fair bit of history here. Basically, we've had repeated requests from residents in this area due to their poor water supply from their private bores. However, I would note that not every resident there has poor water, so we've had quite a sort of mixed response over the years to proposals for this project. So in 2013, we surveyed the community. We only had 20% support for the project, but at that time, the residents were going to be asked to pay the full capital cost of the project. In 2021, we surveyed again, and that was following long-term plan submissions requesting the project. We went up to 50% support roughly, and that was based on the residents funding half of the capital cost. And then most recently, this formal consultation this year, and now we're up over 80% support for the project, and that is based on the residents not paying any capital towards the project, and that so instead the capital will be funded by our district-wide ratepayers. So what the residents will pay if the project goes ahead is the standard district-wide water rate, which everyone who is connected to the service provides around the district. It's about $580 a year. If they don't connect, they pay half of that. And that, I guess, is just one point to make, is that of the submitters that didn't support the project, generally they also did not support the half rate. But I'd just like to acknowledge we have spoken about this at quite a few previous council meetings, and the consensus is that that half rate is standard policy and should remain. So we've had similar projects at 5 Mile Bay, and one that is currently underway at Whakamaru, where that half rate is standing. Just quickly on timeline, we're 90% through design on this project, so we should be able to tender and then be into construction early next year, hopefully be done by the end of the financial year. Yeah, and I guess our recommendation for you to consider is that the project goes ahead on the back of this consultation.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Kendall, did you have anything to add?
No, just generally just through submissions. Thank you. Generally through submissions, there was a lot of support for the project, including and a lot of support now that they weren't having to pay that capital expense of the project, so it definitely was more attractive. And yes, there were a lot of questions around that half charge. However, as Tom has said, it is in our standard rating policy, and we've gone ahead with 2 other projects with that in place as well. But yeah, I think generally people were quite excited about this project going ahead, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, just that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so there's a direct result in the benefit of a district-wide water rate. So yeah.
How do I come into this?
Definitely much right, benefiting from that.
I looked at that and I thought that was an absolutely amazing project, and I'm sure the people of Motuapa are very grateful to council.
Yeah, cool. And as you say, Tom, it's been floating around for a few years. And we've had quite a bit of kickback over you, mainly because of the capital cost, of course. But well done to you and your team for, and Ken, for getting this across the line, so much we'll have good continuous supply of beautiful water. Very good. No other questions. So Tom and Kendall. No, there's a resolution up there on the board. Submissions and proceed with the project. And your tenders, are you ready to go for tendering, Tom?
We're 90% through design. So yeah, early in the new year we'll be tendering, and then it'll go to our water construction panel. So I'd suspect they should be able to have it. It's not a big project, so they should be able to have it all done and dusted before sort of June, I would hope.
Councillor Greenslade?
I did notice that one of the submitters talked about chorus, working in conjunction with chorus. Is that something that's going to happen?
Yeah, we have approached Chorus. Yeah, whether it works out, you know, that we end up putting in pipes and fibre together, I don't know, but they are working on it.
Right. Good question. Canvassed as well. So very good. No other questions? No. Did I have a mover for that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. Seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
5.4 Easter Sunday trading policy. Now, Carol.
So Andrew sends his apologies. Andrew sends his apologies. He's down at Dunedin graduating. So a big week for him, and hopefully the weather's slightly better for his parade. I'll take the report as read. Essentially, we're looking to maintain the status quo with the existing policy, other than the fact that we will move from a 5-year review period to a 10-year review period. That shift is all about just lining up with the legislative requirements. So no big moves here. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions of Nick? No. That resolution up there and continue on a happy way. Right. You want to have to move that recommendation? Councillor Westman for moved by Councillor Westman, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Thank you, Nick. 5.5 new public road name. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Nothing. Good to have you here.
Kia ora, Dave.
The lovely sunny focus. Eva.
Kia ora koutou, Your Worship and councillors. So this item has been written by Louise Wood, but she's actually on leave today. So I'm Heather Williams, who some of you have seen me. And Turangi Smallman is here on behalf of Turangi-Tongariro this afternoon. So the item is about road naming, and normally the Turangi instance is a little bit different and is dealt with in Turangi by the board. And this item is really about a bit of timing. So we don't have a board currently. Your next item might address that. And so in terms of timing for the developer, the item has come to you as full council. Now, you might have noticed in the item that there is no road name given to you. And that is why Turangi is here today on behalf of Turangi-Tongariro to give that presentation of that name and to give it its public hearing. So I will pass over to you. Oh, off and on.
Tēnā kātuku kia mihi nei kia koutou, anā ko koutou e noho nei ki te huku wai, me mihi nei ki ngā kanohi o tēnei puari, ka haere o tō tātou nei rohe ki Taupō Moana. Ka tika anō, kia tangi anō ki era e tangi ana, ara, ki te whare o te hehe, anō nei, kia mātua tūrangi tuku e tangi nei ki o Murira. Tēnā koutou. So, Mr. Mayor, first of all, an apology on behalf of Te Tākinga and his whānau who are also at a tangi at Ōmori currently. One of his, Hine Mohi's nephew, Hemi, passed away, and so they're at Ōmori today, attending to that. So, which is why I'm here. Again, thank you to the council and the chance to meet with you today. In anticipation next year of our next item, the mana whakahono, which we're all very excited about, and which we understand will take on this part of the decision making in future, I assume. And we're all getting used to the process. So that's one of the things we're looking at also, is what will be the official process once street naming comes up. I met with the developers earlier today, and we've been discussing with them what happened. So we have informed them of the name that's been chosen. The marae deliberated on it, looked at the whakapapa of Rangi Mohia and Runaku, which is the Runaku Grove behind the road. And it was determined then that one of our karaua who was active in the 1940s and was Wairemana Kamaira. That was Wairemana actually wasn't his official name. It was his whānau name, the name he was most known by. And it's the name which has been carried on by our generation, was koro Wairemana. Wairemana in particular was actually, in 1941, he was appointed as the first Māori development officer for Turangi by the Turangi community. So in terms of council and government relationships, he was actually the first official appointee in a governance role in Turangi. So it's significant that as we go into our co-governance role, that his name has been, enshrined upon one of our streets. And so that's the name which has been discussed, Wairemana, and has been proposed to you today. I understand that it now needs to go through a process with emergency services and similar. So that's fine. What we are looking or anticipating is that once the sign is ready to be installed, that the whānau will be called in at that day, and a blessing and other things will carry on with them. So that's the anticipation once the sign is ready. As an alternative, as we discussed, Wairemana was the name he was known by the wider whānau. His official name was Rongo Maifiti. So if Wairemana for some reason doesn't get approval, then there is a second option available we can look at as well. And in the formal part, I believe we've looked at place as to be consistent with the neighbouring streets. So Wairemana Place. Te Wairemana, just for I know, Wairemana is Wairemana, and a macron on the E. So Te Wairemana. Play.
Lovely. Thank you. History of this as well. Involving government. You know the street after.
Yeah.
Clarify the names of the spelling. Yeah. Thank you very much, Turangi. And the process now, Heather, is it goes to emergency services and all that.
Yes, so today was about presenting the name, and I guess in terms of process, like I said, the road naming has been a delegation to Turangi. And the names come forward from Ngāti Turangi-Tukua. So we're looking to just have that endorsed today, and therefore we'll be able to present that to emergency services, etc., to go through those other checks. And in the anticipation that there's no problems with that, that would then become the name for the new road.
Right, thank you. Have you got it right up there, my friend?
I think you can't see the without my
T-E,
glasses.
W-A-I-R-E with the macron, M-A-N-A place.
Yes.
All good.
Halfway.
Thank you very much for coming up today and appreciate it. Going forward, the agreement will process these applications, so that's good. Get on to it. Very good recommendation, please. Thank you, Councillor Fletcher, seconded by Councillor Greenslade. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Awesome, thank you. Righty-ho, moving on now, we have 5.6 Turangi Co-Governance Committee, appointment Ngāti Turangi-Tongariro members and delegation from council to that committee. Shani, afternoon, Shani James. Good afternoon, Shani.
Tēnā koutou, your worship and councillors. Tēnā koutou, your worship councillors. Yes, this item relates to our new co-governance committee for Turangi. So very pleased to present it to you. The committee has a membership of 8, being 4 members appointed by Taupō District Council and 4 by Ngāti Turangi-Tukua. Last month, you appointed, your worship, Mayor David Trewavas, Deputy Mayor Councillor Kevin Taylor, and Turangi-Tongariro Ward Councillor Sandra Greenslade. Your 4th appointee will be hopefully appointed later at this meeting. But in the meantime, Ngāti Turangi-Tukua have elected their 4 members and presented their names to you. They are Mr. Christian Asher, also known as Mr. Waka Asher, Ms. Lauren Fletcher, Mr. Te Takaganu, and Mrs. Amy Walker. You can now formally appoint these representatives to your committee. The Mana Whakahono agreement between Council and Turangi-Tukua includes provisions relating to co-chairs. So if you would like to do so, you can recommend one of your 4 members to be one of the co-chairs, and then that would be taken forward to the committee in the new year. And finally, it remains for you to also delegate decision-making authority to the committee to make decisions on your behalf in respect of matters within the Mana Whakahono boundary. So that's all set out on your agenda. Those were the key points, and happy to take any questions. Kia ora.
Thank you, Shani. Thank you. Questions of Shani?
Your worship, just more of a comment in terms of the co-chair. It would probably be appropriate, good look for yourself to be the co-chair, if that makes, if I've read it right.
Myself? Yeah. Is that what you're suggesting? Co-chair?
Entirely up to you.
Yeah, would that be something for the committee to decide?
So it would be a recommendation from you.
Yeah.
And that would be presented to the inaugural hui of the committee. Okay. And similarly, Ngāti Turangi-Tukua might make a recommendation for their co-chair, and then the committee will consider that at the inaugural hui.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Park.
Thank you, Worship. I just wondered when we signed the agreement down at Turangi-Tukua, Hirangi Marae, sorry, was there not something in there about the mayor being the co-chair? The intention, right? But I'd have this second Danny recommendation.
Do we have that in the resolution now? The number, new number 4?
No, it's number 2 there for you. So that's, yeah.
So through your worship, if there's no other questions, I'm happy to move 1, 2 and 3 with your Your Worship, under number 2 is co-chair. I think it's appropriate that you be there to whakamana that position, to support its importance. So there's my 2 cents worth, and happy to move that way, Your Worship.
And I'm happy to second that motion by Councillor Lachlan. I'd support it entirely.
Very good. Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Any other discussion? All good? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Shani. Right, moving on. It's, again, is it 5.7 is adoption of standing orders. Mrs. Shani James.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, this item concerns your standing orders. Those are the rules that support your formal council and committee meetings. The Local Government Act requires all councils to have a set of standing orders in place at all times. So your current set was adopted shortly after the 2019 elections. Every election cycle, Local Government New Zealand reviews the standing orders template and provides an updated model to councils to consider. And at the same time, they provide a guide to the standing orders. And you'll see these documents are attached to your agenda. The guide also at the back sets out changes made over the last 3 years, and you'll see this time around they are relatively minor, mostly tweaks for clarification. So Local Government New Zealand recommends all councils consider 3 optional clauses, and these are highlighted yellow on your agenda. They relate to these 3 things: enabling you to attend meetings remotely, and recommend that you include those provisions because it reflects current practice, and indeed today we have 2 members attending via Zoom. Including a casting vote for chairs. Again, recommend you include this as you have done for the last few years. And the 3rd thing is the way that you deal with motions, and the standing orders sets out 3 options for dealing with motions. One is very formal, which would require timing of speakers and so on. The next one is a little less formal, and the 3rd option is the least formal and therefore most flexible option. That's option C. And again, recommend that you go with that one because it reflects your current practice and provides the most flexibility. In addition to those optional clauses coming from Local Government New Zealand, you'll see some clauses highlighted in blue, and those relate to the new co-governance committee in Turangi. And we've just recommend that you include those for completeness because the committee operates in a slightly different way, in particular that no casting vote for that committee. The quorum is 2 members from each partner at all times, and a clause explaining that the committee will take a consensus approach to decision making rather than just having a straight majority for all decisions. So those were the key things I wanted to draw your attention to. Any questions?
Thanks, Shani. Any questions of Shani? Understanding orders.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship, I have one question and comment.
Yep, Councillor Taylor.
So on page 18, in the definitions, we have subordinate decision-making body means, and there's a number of definers there. Given what we have done over the last 2 years in particular with what we have called steering groups, I wonder whether it would be appropriate to specifically include a steering group to accurately reflect what we have been doing in calling the smaller groups of council. I know it might sound semantic, but it would reflect what we're actually doing and what we're calling those subordinate decision-making groups that have delegated authority from full council. Just my thoughts anyway.
So happy to do that for those steering groups or working groups that do come to you for you to formally make delegations to. So I don't see an issue with that because it is a subordinate decision-making body and we can include that in the definitions. So yeah, like it would apply to those things that come to you to delegate authority to.
Okay, yeah, accepted, Councillor Taylor, thank you. Any other questions of Shane? No? All right. The resolution up here. Yeah. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks. Very good. And happy with those? Sorry, Shane. Yeah.
I was just going to suggest we can add a number 7, which will be amend definition of subordinate decision-making body in accordance with what you just discussed to include steering or working groups set up by council.
Okay. I can move it, please. Thank you, Councillor Aaron. Second moved by Councillor Shepherd. Thank you, Shane. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Very good. 5.8, receipt of the minutes of the Lake Local Protection Project Joint Committee. Any clarification or any comments on those minutes? More straightforward. Cool. Okay, those will move it. Thanks, Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Parker. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Item 5.9, Taupō District Council Performance Report, Mr. CEO, Mr. Andrew.
I'll start off, worship Mr. Andrew and Jeanette come up to the podium. Just a couple of things to start. One is just want to acknowledge the new members of the executive. So Steve Matthews started with us last week. It's their first official council meeting. Very happy to have Sarah here as a chartered accountant and GM in charge of our finance and environment. Here it comes to us from Lydia O'Brien, so in charge of our footprint. So IT, contract areas. That is it's joined the other staff change that this wasn't here, but would like to highlight it. I've also made a slight change to Philip Keynes. And housing, try and get some run on the board around our own land development and local housing district. So along with Deputy Mayor and Councillor Westerman, we'll be working on some KPIs for that portfolio, which be some stretch targets that we're working on. Runs just up back to in very near time, which is quite exciting. Let's go to the staff changes. I guess in terms of the report for the month, so I'll hand over to Andrew and Slim to go through the finance and projects. Just over the last month, have been largely taken up with. We've seen that through the preparation, more to come in the new year, but obviously a lot of the workshops and other training sessions that have been in this room. It's really taken a lot of time to understand of the team, and proud of what they've been able to achieve through that process. Secondly, you'll all be aware of the significant reform process that's underway. Tree Waters obviously is one of the ones which is the topic of view out there at the moment. For the first bill, that progressing the way it is. Report changes it's taking up a lot of time of staff as well. Thirdly, you'll see that we've got a lot of significant projects which the end of the year seems to be the due date for. Significant ones there with the town centre, and in fact our police building that we're working with the private developer, all expected to land by and large by the end of this year. So a lot of people are working pretty hard and long hours on those. Second to last, worship is obviously we're back into this 2020 events. Which has kept a lot of the team going behind here last weekend. And whilst I can attest together was a great participants. I think it was really neat to see the town buzzing again with a lot of people coming back in the district for spending their money. And then lastly, worship really is that this is the last real business week for us before we go into Christmas. Obviously, we're hoping for a really busy Christmas around town. So we're concentrating on making sure that we keep our settlements looking sharp and getting those people out in the district. I'll probably leave it there and hand over to Jeanette Andrew to go through the rest.
Kia ora koutou, Your Worship and councillors. I'm just going to address the financial summary and the performance report that you have in front of you, and I would take the report as read. I would just like to highlight a few things. That our revenue is ahead of plan mainly due to grants that we've received for the town centre Taupō development and a few others, and that our operating expenditure is basically on budget, which some of that is due to timing of budget. It's very hard to spread a budget over a year in some instances, so we'll just keep an eye on that. Our finance costs and revenue are starting to both increase as interest rates go up. On the second page, there's just a summary of our capital expenditure for the last 3 years. As you can see, our performance this year is $6 million of capital expenditure between July and October this year, against a annual plan of 74 million and plus the bow wave of 50. The next page is our Treasury report. This reports on some measures that we have in our Treasury management policy, which and we are within parameters on all of those measures. And the last page just refers to a couple of items that the CEO has approved, which are is above his than the annual plan. So this I think in November, those October and November. Happy to take any questions.
Questions then, Jeanette?
Thanks, Jeanette. Thank you. Good to see you. No questions, councillors? The two things I did contracts with it. Yeah.
Yes, I can talk to them. So one of them is a water force contract related to expansion of our land disposal for wastewater that we run in Taupō. So that, again, in accordance with the annual plan, an extension to a site that we currently run. And the second contract was for the work that we have seen being done on the resealing of the road between the Control Gates Bridge and the Spa Road roundabout. So that has been executed and done and completed.
That's good. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Mr. Lewis is on the house, but yeah, very good. Okay, carry on, Andrew.
List, you will see a refresh of this list in the new year, but for today I'll just speak to the list that's here. I'm going to address the two projects that have red marks beside them in either the on time or on budget column. So I'd like you to take a look perhaps at the town centre transformation project that has a red for on time. And that's purely to reflect the fact that in our original communications with the community, we did mention that would be done before December. And while it has largely been complete by December, and many of the stakeholders are already enjoying their concession spaces and the new public spaces provided by the town centre transformation,
in good faith, we can't say it's been fully complete. So by being highly diligent, we're calling ourselves out that it isn't quite complete on time. And the time frame for completion of the works practically will be the first in a month or two after that.
Andrew, is there any, with the slight overrun in time, is there any threat to any of the shovel-ready money that has been allocated to be spent by the same timeframe?
No, none whatsoever. The works that money was allocated towards have been completed within the timeframes required, and so that most of that money is actually already been received. So. Which is the Taupō Airport upgrade. So the reason this is noted as a red is when we increase the scope of a project and additional budget hasn't been allocated, but the project will be completed within the original budget. But because the scope of the project has increased to include things that weren't in the original scope, there's a process we need to go through council, which we will do, bring back to here to acknowledge that additional scope requires additional budget. When that happens, this will go back to being green because the project delivery budget allocated. So that's just an explanation of why it's noted as red. Any questions?
Any questions on the airport? Right, we'll do a test run on Friday.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, carry on.
Sorry, Andrew, just to back up a little bit, having done that walk around with Walra House, there was some chat on the day from the builders that the windows may not be in Christmas. Is there any update on that? No. Obviously, we're done, so I'm happy to come back to council, but we're just waiting for some time.
That's it. Sorry, Councillor Trewavas.
I'm sorry, one question. I know it's not a significant project, but just underwater, have we got any update on what's happening, like continuation of the water scheme here?
No, Councillor, sorry, I don't have an update for you, but I will find out and let you know.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. A busy old year. It just amazing. Look forward to the completion of that council pack.
Oh no, I was just thinking that it might be an extra agenda item to thank the staff for their hard work this year and hope they will have a great Christmas and a happy and safe festive season.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Thank you very much, Councillor Park. I hope you guys heard all that. Very good. Okay, there's a recommendation up here that Sarah Madette will join at some stage in the new year. And thank you for Jeanette as well. You've been doing. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you.
Happy to move.
Hi, Councillor Lachlan. Oh, Lachlan. Councillor Lachlan, are you there?
Yes, happy to move, Chair.
Yeah, I think you're second this time.
Okay,
Sorry.
bye.
So, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Thank you. Right. 5.10, health, safety and well being report. We have Michelle, good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, councillors. This is the final quarterly report for 2022, and for many of you new councillors, firstly, I'd just like to say that the trends in this report are reasonably consistent with council operations under this report is just the continuation of aggressive behaviours towards our staff. This is not just typical to Taupo, but also my external colleagues at other councils are sharing the same. And consequently, when our Health and Safety Committee meeting for customer facing operations in October, we did a deep dive into looking at what controls and mitigations we have in place currently for council in that aspect. So I'll take the report as read, but if any of you have got any further comments or questions for the report, please speak up.
Yeah, through the chair, if I may. Just one question from me. I just wondering, in terms of the aggressive behaviour, are there any particular locations, or is it online or on the phone? Or where in
They had to
particular?
diffuse quite a few situations. A lot of it is understanding, and fortunately, we've got a really strong group of people that work in the call centre that I think do a really good job in their roles. And the other area is probably our compliance team. And some of that is, it's not necessarily, well, I questioned them and said, is it because you'll go there, it's dogs or noise or whatever? And there seems to be a little bit of a mixture of both. So, but next year, working with Ross, just McDonald and the compliance team, just to look at where we can assist staff in safety. We do have guardian angel pendants for them. They do work in pairs and they do get really good support from the local police.
Right, thank you.
Just one. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah. So thanks, Michelle. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's quite sad to report that sort of.
Yeah.
But going to ask some questions, Councillor Taylor. Any particular division that's different than others. So yeah, sad to report, but true the fact of life we have these days. Any other questions of Michelle? Well, thank you for your comprehensive report.
You're welcome.
And Merry Christmas and see you in the new year. Happy and well-being report for November 22. Could I have a member, Councillor Paxton?
Aye.
Yes. Gary, E23, Danny. Oh, Karen, sorry. Good afternoon, Karen.
You're a great show. Okay, I'm on the other side. Okay, so as you would have read, this is to adopt the schedule of meetings for 2023. There's a few things to point out. So there will be 2 council meetings in February that happens between now and then, so that we can make sure we deal with anything we need to. The second thing is that in March, there's a second meeting to the annual plan hearing dates that are in there. It may not be required. The other thing to consider, then those Turangi co-governance committee dates, meetings which will change venues throughout the year, and we'll confirm those after the actual dates are confirmed. And where that Councillor Truman had a change already, so you know.
Oh, sworn on a Thursday, and I just asked if all our meetings would be on Tuesdays.
We could change it to the 22nd of August, which is a Tuesday, and have it in the morning, and then still keep the Taupō reserves and roading meeting that same afternoon. Yep. Thanks.
In terms of that TCB meeting, you mentioned on Thursday or Wednesday, but put it down on Wednesday. On the statement.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so TCG is Turangi co-governance, and that's on Wednesdays. Yeah, is that what you mean? Oh, sorry, apologies. That's for the council meeting. So Tuesday, the 25th of April is Anzac Day. So the council meeting that in April would move to the Thursday. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Westman.
I'd just like to make a recommendation that we change the time of the council meeting to begin at 1 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock as per the previous term. We did discuss it at Amity, I know, but I haven't gone through a couple of council meetings now, and not having a public forum in the middle, we tend to put a lag in the middle there, and then I'm just conscious in the winter of some of our councillors who've got to drive home. It's going to be in the dark in the winter for people close to it. So I'd like to recommend that the meeting start at 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Thank you, Councillor Westman. Amendment there. Everyone happy with that?
Yep.
Taupō.
Very good. Nothing else, no other changes. It's going to be a busy old year. So in February, suntan and ready to go. Right, there was no change, all up there. Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, and for those dates. Book them in now and we can get on with it. So thank you, Councillor Richmond. Thank you both. Yes, Councillor Campbell. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, Gareth. Right, that brings a closure to the public part of the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. So, moving up, thank you, Councillor Park, Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, Gary. We don't have to turn off, do we? So. Gary, all good? Thanks, Gary.